Well, it's an old track by Nancy Sinatra and Lee Hazelwood. And
Yes,
we were just
I know that,
looking
yeah.
for a name and struggling a bit, and we went through all our records, all our DVDs, all that sort of thing, and I just came across it on an old LP. Des took it on board and kind of
Yeah, it's
forced
just
it
a great
through, really.
track. I mean, we love that album. I mean, Jackson is actually my favourite song on that album. But anyway, I don't think that's
You couldn't really call yourself
You know more than
Jackson.
one track.
exactly.
Yeah.
With someone else has got us
Yeah.
that one. So yeah, Some Velvet Morning just I don't know what it was. It just seemed to be. At first, it wasn't really championed when it was a contender, and then it just sort of kept on making the shortlist. And then eventually, it was like, actually, I really like that name. And after a few repeats, you're kind of like, okay, it works.
And Nancy
So-
Sinatra's found out about it herself, actually. She's
What did she think?
what did she say, Gav?
She said, "I love it."
No, she
About
heard,
our song, that is.
yeah, she heard the single "Losing My Mind," and she said, oh, "It sounds like it could have been written for me." I love it. That's been her quote. Her daughter played it to her, apparently.
Wow, that's quite
Yeah.
a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
We're quite
absolutely.
excited. Her daughter's a Lambert as well, we found out. She's married to a namesake of ours, so there might even be a relation somewhere now that we're kind of related to Frank Sinatra somehow.
Hey,
Can you imagine if that was the case? That would be like fate, wouldn't it?
It would be, exactly. It's kind of like tying up all these loose ends.
You've been all over the place recording stuff, haven't you? Loads of different studios and whatnot. Why did you do that?
It's this thing trying to find the right spot, as everyone does, and the one we did find in the end, it is a legendary studio, and it's run by a crazy Roman who doesn't seem to care about running a business. He just seems to care about the music man, and he's just brilliant. That was actually a Jamaican accent. It wasn't very Italian, but yeah, he
have
just
to
seems
work on the Italian
I
one
think
for
I will,
future
yeah.
radio spots.
He's got this vintage Neve desk. He's got an old Studer tape machine. The live room is just great sounding. It looks like Abbey Road Studio 2, which is, so if you've ever seen the old pictures of the Beatles, you've got this massive live room, and then you go upstairs to this control room. It's just amazing.
Now, you mentioned the Beatles there. Wasn't there something with John Lennon's old piano?
Yeah, I used to work at a piano shop in Denmark Street, which in London is the sort of the mecca of, everyone goes there to buy their guitars or keyboards or any equipment. Yeah, I got a job in a music shop there that used to have the piano that John Lennon wrote Imagine on in the back. Now, the owner of the shop didn't realise, he just knew it was John Lennon's piano. He didn't realise what a piano it was in the kind of the rock history of the world. And but I'd seen the documentaries Imagine and Give Me Some Truth, and it's the piano that, if you've seen them, it's a brown Steinway. It's an upright. It's not the big white one that everyone thinks about. Just a brown upright piano.
Yeah, no, the one. I think I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah, there's a famous. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's toured now, but at the time it was just sitting in the back of our shop. And I'd seen this documentary, and there's a famous clip where John says, "Oh, I've got this new idea," and he's got Yoko on his right, George Harrison on his left, and Phil Spector just behind him, and he's going, "Imagine all the," I haven't got the word there, people, and he sort of just does this little kind of ad lib on Imagine on this piano, and yeah, and then it was at the back of the piano shop, and I told the boss, and he was like, "Oh, ching ching," and then he sold it for $1.5 million to
No,
George
you should have
Michael.
bought it, Des.
I know.
And what do you think George Michael does with it?
That's actually should be a phone-in. I think there's far more wittier people out
Come
there
on,
that will be able to
listeners,
come
yeah.
up with some ideas.
And Chris Martin from Coldplay likes your stuff, doesn't he? Do you like Coldplay?
Gavin?
Yeah,
What about you, Rob? What do you think?
trick answer, isn't it?
No, come on.
Yes,
they,
we do.
No.
Yeah,
I'm very good at
overall,
what they
They
do.
do what they do,
Yeah.
and they do it very well.
Some Velvet Morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Cheers.